What is up? First to the floor, Jake Eisenberg, joined by Wayne Spooney and Sam LaFrance of How About Them Celtics. Our Indiana Pacers just took down the New York Knickerbockers in what ended up being a blowout. We were getting Haliburton logo shots, Obi Toppin dunking. It was that's how you close out a series against the New York Knicks. Spooney, it doesn't quite feel as if the Celtics made the finals, but maybe like 42%, 51% as close.
Yeah, bing bong, first of all.
Yeah.
Let's start with that. Yeah, man, like I have always, like, I love this Pacers team. I think Haliburton is probably one of the highest, like, what is it, Q rating stars in the NBA. Like, he's really hard to dislike, the way he plays, the way that team shares the ball. Carlisle played 11 guys, legitimate minutes. It is like the definition of team basketball. They're fun. They have just a bunch of dudes who play really hard, and they have Aaron Nesmith. So, like, yeah, I might even push it to 60% on the enjoyment meter. How about you, Sam?
You can't compare the two. Hate watch. The enjoyment meter on the Celtics is so much different because there's a risk. There's a risk that comes along with it. You have that anxiety of seeing your team fail. You have the fear that they're going to disappoint you. The hate watch, it's just pure hate. It's playing with house money. You have none of the emotions if they lose. You get all the euphoria if they win. It is fantastic. I would say 70% maybe.
Okay.
But it's a sweet 70%.
Yeah, if you're not watching the YouTube, Sam and I put our hoods up I want to say midway through the third quarter to really lock in on the hate watch, let the hate flow through us, and it worked. That was kind of the catalyst for the Pacers going on that run. I think the putting the hoods up flowed straight into Thomas Bryant's veins. And shout out RJ for the super chat. Pacers big strategic win, not playing Kristaps Porzingis. Yeah, that is helpful when you're not carrying around a 7'2" Latvian dead weight throughout the series. Miles Turner, despite playing pretty poorly throughout the series, much better than Kristaps Porzingis in the Knicks series. But yeah, I think there's a lot of ways to go. But like Thomas Bryant, because Tony Bradley injured today?
Yeah.
I actually don't. Yeah, so he wasn't able to play. Yeah, he was. He hurt his ankle in Game 5, I believe.
And it might have been wear and tear, just not used to being out there that much.
Hasn't played in 3 years.
Yeah, if you go to Basketball Reference, he has DNP Other Pro League 2 seasons ago. And so, yeah, maybe the minutes wore on him throughout this conference finals. But, dude, the Thomas Bryant game, 3 for 4 from 3, kind of gave you some good rebounding. He was a +7 in a game where Miles Turner has 5 fouls, in foul trouble the whole game, where even when he is out there, he's struggling. He did give you some points, but I mean, that he has to be a tier 1 if he starts going off. Like shotgun to the chest. 3 Thomas Bryant threes has to feel pretty similarly to the Caleb Martin threes, the Josh Giddey threes, a Russell Westbrook 3. These are the types of guys that when they hit threes, it's just like that's a shotgun directly to the sternum.
Yeah, it's just brutal, man. There's nothing you can do. I can't believe it's 2025 and we're talking about Thomas Bryant showing up in a closeout Eastern Conference Finals game. And look, they're going to attack him. They attacked him. They went at him when he was on the defensive end, but his defense was like just good enough. And like he was boxing out. He was playing hard, which is something Thomas Bryant hasn't always done in his career. And then he's just like lighting it up. 11 points in a game 6 in the Eastern Conference Finals is pretty crazy. And he like kind of electrified the crowd too. Like the crowd was really like detected something special happening when like that second 3 went down for Thomas Bryant. And the team rallied around, and like that was kind of the buildup of the blowout. So it is absolutely mind blowing that they couldn't like totally play him off the court. But they really didn't. I thought he did okay. They were like hedging, they were sending tons of help, and like the Pacers defense was awesome this entire game. And like they've really stepped up around Bryant because you need to, because he is not a good defensive player.
He did have like the moment Jake and I were watching on the playback. They put Thomas Bryant back in because Miles Turner picked up, I think, his 4th or 5th foul. And we were like, damn. And then he immediately got a block and then immediately came down and either got fouled or made a 3. It was his night. Thomas Bryant game. Shout out to him. It's nice when the fluke happens on your side every once in a while, right? Like you're just not getting gamed by 14 Mikal Bridges 4th quarter points, or seeing Mitchell Robinson turn into prime Shaq to eliminate your team from the playoffs or anything like that. It was hilarious. Just hilarious seeing the threes go in. Corner specialist, Hall of Fame for Thomas Bryant. Shout out to him.
It's hard to imagine LeBron James wanted that demon Thomas Bryant off his team with the LA Lakers, because that dude, Alex Caruso, we want him out. Thomas Bryant, we want him out. Championship, playoff pedigree. LeBron doesn't understand what it's like to be a 16-game player like Thomas Bryant. Haliburton, Haliburton, I'm guessing, to give out the series MVP. It looks like Haliburton, no surprises. I thought maybe Spicy P could make a run at it. He was like Haliburton. Oh man, so yeah, Siakam had 31 tonight. Obviously, he had that 39-point explosion. But I mean, I don't know. What do you guys think? Blink test without like kind of looking at the numbers side by side. Do you think that's the right call? Haliburton, Conference Finals MVP.
So if they give it to Haliburton, I'm going to be pissed because it's like the exact same argument. Like I feel like from a points perspective, Siakam scored more and was more efficient, which is like what Jaylen Brown did last year. But then like the entire offense is Haliburton, him running the offense. Like Siakam can't really do what he does without Haliburton's presence. I think either one is deserving, just like I thought either Jay was deserving in both of our series last year. But blink test, I would give it to Siakam. I feel like he the way he like kind of can drive the mid-range offense at times, and like him being a positive defensive player. I think just on balance, slight edge to him, but like obviously Hallie, and he completely closed the door on this game in the 4th quarter too. He was up and down, but his ups were like super, super high. So either one, but I would blink test is Siakam for me.
I'll be the fun guy. My blink test is Haliburton. I have not looked at any stats. Having watched all these games and really cared about them, I was terrified when Haliburton was on the floor. Like things significantly changed for them. And I agree with your point. Like it's kind of bittersweet seeing Haliburton get all the credit when Tatum wasn't really getting that kind of credit last season when he was doing or having a very similar effect on the Celtics. But man, if they didn't have Haliburton, they were struggling. Like in the 4th quarter today, we were on the playback screaming, why is he not in the game? Pat McAfee, sleeper, Eastern Conference Finals MVP.
Yeah, so I got the numbers here. I believe these have been updated already, or I don't know. It's the last 6 games for the Pacers, and they're 4-2. So I'm not 100% sure, but 23, 6 and 4 for Siakam, 23, 6 and 10 assists for Haliburton with only 1.7 turnovers. Efficiency-wise, Haliburton 61% true shooting, Siakam 56.4% true shooting.
Never mind then, Hallie.
I mean, yeah, I did blink test, and that's now with more context. But I think both are deserving, and I think that with the Tatum Jalen thing, I thought both guys were deserving in both the Eastern Conference and the Finals. It's just frustrating that Jason wasn't able to get it, and it's more like for a second guy, the non-engine to win it, it feels like they need to do way more in order to actually steal it. Whereas when it's Tatum, it feels like if there's any semblance of an argument for not giving it to Tatum, then it goes away from Tatum. I would go, Siakam is the MVP. We're getting it live here in the chat. Okay. Interesting.
Blink test.
Interesting. Blink test wins.
I concede to Spoonie.
I do disagree because I do think that it should go to like the main guy, but This is interesting. Is this good? Is this good for the Tatum agenda? Is this technically good for the Tatum agenda? Haliburton, is he the best player on his own team? I don't know. Where would they be?
Haliburton carried?
Yeah.
Here's why it's like neutral, because people are gonna like just completely ignore what happened to Tatum and still say, well, it's obvious Haliburton's the best player. Like,
I
this
know,
doesn't
yeah.
mean anything, but they'll use it against Tatum.
That is a fantastic call. I cannot wait for everybody to be like, yeah, Siakam deserved it. Clearly, Haliburton's still the best. But very deserved from Siakam. I thought that both guys were very deserving. I believe I did just say that. So thankfully I had my tracks covered before it was announced in my face. Read off the numbers. I mean, Siakam was awesome. And defensively, I think he struggled a little bit on Towns, but he was really good. I mean, he's like their best wing option at times. And man, the way that he runs the floor, like, it's not a star player attribute, but as a dude that is a multi-time All-Star, All-NBA type guy, max type guy, his commitment to sprinting down the floor and getting like between 4 and 10 just free points every single game is like, one, great for his own stats, but it's like, it's just so valuable when you're talking about margins and trying to score in playoff basketball. It's like you're getting runouts off makes in the conference finals. It's like those points are just so valuable. He's awesome. I know we have shat on Siakam plenty of times, I'd say, since like the NBA bubble, because I think he had like a crazy like 12-game losing streak or something against the Celtics, and it's just always been a bad matchup for him. But I've really liked what he's done with the Pacers, and he's been an incredible fit, both like just as a talent upgrade and as a dude that's willing to like move the ball and play with that pace. Yeah, man, shout out Siakam, dude.
Go ahead, Sam.
Big shots all series long from Siakam. Like, even in the first set of home games for the Pacers, it felt like he hit like the calm down shots. Like, his points, the average points don't really like tell you the same story as like if there was a weighted points stat. Like, for the size of the moment, he was hitting those tough turnarounds from the baseline. You could trust him. You could say, go get a bucket. It was under control. You didn't have to worry about him turning the ball over. He did a really good job defending too. He wasn't a liability. He was pressuring the ball. He was doing anything the team needed him to do to win. And it was just a joy to watch. It's so fun to root for the guy.
Yeah. And like, me shitting on Pascal previously was because people were trying to put him in the conversations with Tatum, not because I thought he was a bad player. And like, he's really good. He's got some really strong strengths, and he's the perfect running mate for Hallie, just because of what you described, Jake. Like, he is gone, and sometimes it costs them some defensive rebounding for him on those leak outs. But I mean, it had to be 8 points that he got them, 10 points just completely off of made baskets. Maybe he didn't score, but the fact that it just puts so much pressure on the defense, the fact that like they're hitting hit ahead passes to him like 3/4 of the way up the court, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh shit, my Deuce McBride is on Pascal Siakam, and then he posts up, here comes the double, move the ball, easy bucket. So he was really, really, really good, especially tonight. I thought he kind of kept them afloat in the first half too, and then Haliburton took the game away in the fourth quarter. Totally well-deserved. He's a second best player on a finals team, man. You can't take that away from him. Again. Yeah, I was just going to say, yeah, like you could argue who was the second best player on that Toronto team, but he was incredible that playoff run. So it probably was him.
Yeah, man, and I think I can hone in on the origin of the Pascal Siakam hate for Celtics fans. So it was that 1920 season. It started with Siakam getting All-NBA over Tatum. And I'm looking at the numbers right now. Tatum had like 23, 7, and 3 on 57% true shooting, and Siakam was 23, 7, and 4 on 55% true shooting. He was like slightly ahead in the standings. When you look back on it, maybe it was closer than it felt at the time. But yeah, man. And I guess like coming off the finals performance, Siakam probably got the nod over Tatum there. But always Tatum being snubbed. Yeah, man. He's really, really good. Haliburton though, what snub or not, he's been incredible in these playoffs and in this series. and there's been a lot of where is he now? So he's a top whatever player. Here's a question: Tyrese Haliburton or Donovan Mitchell as your best player? Who would you prefer to have, Spoonie?
Man, so it's really tough to say Donovan Mitchell right now just because of what we just saw Haliburton lead his team to do. And I think, like, first of all, just Haliburton being big is just really helpful defensively, even though he's like not a good defensive player, but neither is Mitchell really. I think like Mitchell kind of hijacks offenses in the playoffs. Like he really, and I think the Cavs kind of needed him to in some ways because Garland was playing hurt. But it was pretty similar in Utah. And when the shot's going, all of a sudden it's like, wow, Mitchell had 42 in the second round. That's incredible. But like Haliburton will just never do that. Like he makes sure everybody touches it. All those guys look really comfortable because he's spraying the ball. He's making sure they're like running secondary actions. And like when he needs to get downhill and make a play, it feels like he can whenever he wants, except for, game 5. But I think I'd probably lean Haliburton, but that's a really close, tight question. That's a tough one, man.
Sam?
I agree with Spoonie. I think a lot of the floor raising for his teammates factors into that. And if Haliburton doesn't have a big scoring night, as you said, you can still be like, oh, yeah, he still had a really good impact on this game. Not to say Donovan Mitchell can't do that, because he obviously can. But I feel like it is not something you can win a playoff series off of. And not to say Haliburton was bad in this series, because he clearly wasn't. But there were stretches where he wasn't able to score offensively or be dominant, and yet he was still effective. He was still penetrating. He was getting guys open looks, and he made the most of it. He was a needle mover. I think that playmaking willingness to be a true point guard really elevates him, and to be very good at it even more so.
I think it's easy for me. Like Donovan Mitchell's awesome. That's totally fair. But I love the way that he runs offense, man. And when you're trying to win in the playoffs, like the low turnover and ability to get your teams good shots over and over and over again, and whether that's just like in pure half court, slow it down possessions, or the way that he plays with the pace. And Donovan Mitchell plays fast too, but like, man, when Hallie gets it off a make and inbounds it and he hits like a full touchdown, like the same thing with like Siakam running the floor, whether it's Obi Toppin, Siakam, whoever. I think a lot of that has to do with the personality and the play style of Haliburton, and like how his play has infected in a good way the rest of this Pacers team. I think when you're trying to win in the playoffs, and it's interesting thinking about the Oklahoma City matchup because, like, I mean, I haven't even looked at the odds, but I'm assuming that the Thunder are like plus like minus 500.
Pacer plus 575 or something.
Yeah. And but so like, what do the Thunder do? Like, what's their superpower? It's their defense, and specifically the way they turn you over. And the Pacers this season were the third fewest turnover rate team in the playoffs, behind the Celtics and the Thunder, ironically. And so it's like, is that one matchup advantage that can help them steal 2 games? Maybe just enough. That's the hope, but. I love Haliburton. I think like the health of your offense possession to possession in the playoffs is just so high because he has the ball in his hands.
Dude, and it's so wild. He doesn't have like a crazy like handle like move package. Like he basically is just like overhand crossovers and that's it. But like the way he like understands space and the way he like feints his body like coming off a pick and roll, he just like generates so much open space, and the fact that he can just like pull up from 29 feet and shoot like a Michael Kidd-Gilchrist ugly ass jumper that goes in every time. Like you can't play drop against him. And if you try to double or like hard hedge, he's so tall and his passing is so good. He can just plop it over the top to whoever he needs to. And you saw it a couple times tonight where he's just like, boop, dink it right to the short roll, completely compromise the defense. Like, oh, you've got Jalen Brunson hard hedging on me, and I'll dump that right over his head. So, it like the OKC matchup's going to be really tough. I suspect they will send doubles and just completely get the ball out of his hands, and then expect that they can turn over everybody else when he gets it out of his hands, which I think they probably can.
My favorite part about the Pacers making the finals is everybody on Twitter being like, nobody's gonna watch this finals now. The ratings, the people that go on Twitter and cry about the ratings, what the ratings are going to be because their team isn't in it, are the biggest losers. Like, I don't care if it's Oklahoma City and Indiana. I don't have to go to the games. I get to watch them in my living room. It doesn't matter. Like, if the reporters are being like, damn it, man, I have to go to Oklahoma City and Indianapolis, sure, you can get a little bit mad. I've never been to either city. I can't really tell you if it's fun or not. But from what everyone says, not that fun. Not a lot of hotels in OKC, so that might be tough for the media influx. But yeah, the people are like, man, nobody's going to watch these finals. Dude, fuck off. Like, the Knicks don't make it a more fun series. They suck. Like, they beat the Celtics. They still suck. Like, the Celtics did it to themselves. The Knicks are terrible.
I think that we all felt the same way after that series. Like, the Knicks beat the Celtics fair and square. It was actually hard for me to say fair and square, like physically.
Square. They beat them square. Yeah.
They beat us. It is what it is. KP being like a complete fucking lead weight was the main reason. But like the Knicks are not good. Not good. They're like, and actually this is a good. We'll hold it right here. We're going to spend the next little bit shitting on the Knicks. The great segue from you, Sam, and then we'll dive into Giannis to the Celtics trade talk and some other trade talk at the back end here. Spoonie, if you got game time ready, I'll run the B reel for you.
There's nothing better than playoff basketball. I have been to one playoff game in my entire life, and it was the 2022 NBA Finals, Game 3, the Celtics' last win of the season, although we didn't know it at the time. I went with Ben of First to the Floor fame, and it was legitimately one of the best days of my life. And you know how I got in the door? Game Time. It was super easy to get tickets. I just hopped on the app, searched for the game, and then you're shown all the available tickets and all the best deals right on your phone. Their curated deals make it even easier to find the best seats at the best prices. And their last-minute deals, you can get right on tickets right up to the start of the event and even an hour after it starts. But maybe my favorite feature is the seat view. It'll show you exactly what it looks like from any seat before you buy. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code CLNS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game Time.
I love it. Game Time. Can't wait to get back to watch the Peyton Pritchard All-Star campaign in Boston next season. I will be seated with my Game Time tickets. The New York Knicks, after they threw a parade for getting out of the second round for the first time in God knows how long, it is still, I believe, how long has it been now? I think Horford was 7 years old the last time the Knicks won the title. And I mean Tito Horford.
Yeah.
I like that.
71?
Shout out 1973, I believe.
73.
Shout out Matt on Twitter for that fantastic joke earlier today. I really appreciate everybody sticking with their Knicks hating throughout the day here. So I really think the Knicks have a roster construction problem that is going to prevent them from winning the title, and it's very simple. And it was very obvious all series long against the Pacers, is that anytime Cat and Brunson shared the court at the same time, the Pacers were at their best.
Yeah, man. If you look at the two-man lineup data, it is not ideal for really Brunson, especially, but Cat and Brunson was like massive negative together. I don't know what they were tonight, but I suspect not very good again. So, like I think Jake, we did a show right when the Cat trade happened, and I think we agreed like their ceiling is Eastern Conference Finals. I just don't think it like once you get to that level of basketball, you can't have two defensive liabilities as your two best players. And we saw the Knicks ceiling, in my opinion. Like they maybe weren't lucky to beat us, maybe we're a little lucky to beat us, differing opinions. I never thought they had any chance of winning this series. And like, if they did, they would have gotten swept by Oklahoma City. Like, it's great to have a winning team. Like, it sucks to be horrible. And I understand why Knicks fans are excited. But if you want to take the next step, I think you're exactly right. Like, I think you need to probably consider trading Cat. I mean, like, because you're not going to trade Brunson. And then that seems crazy to trade him after your first conference finals in 25 years. So I'm not sure what they do. Probably just ride it out. But yeah, I just don't see how you construct a championship team with those two guys.
The hunting in the playoffs is real. People put on like the camo hats. They take out like the long barrel rifles, and they find your guys that can't play defense, and they go right at them. Somehow the Celtics didn't do it well. But the Pacers did a great job at it, especially today. Cat was a disaster. A lot of open shots when he was supposed to be the primary defender. And, I mean, the real question mark for me with the Knicks was always their depth. And then Tibbs kind of leaned into it. Landry Shamet was all of a sudden doing stuff, which was pretty frustrating to watch. And I wasn't even really involved. Like, the Celtics weren't in it. He wasn't doing it to the Celtics, but I would have been more mad if that was the case, but still was mad. And they found some depth. Mitchell Robinson off the bench for the first couple rounds, and then as a starter in these rounds, or this round, I should say. And yet they still didn't really take care of business. They weren't great in this series. They could have been swept. They could have also won in 6, with the first couple games going down to the wire. It's just the way it goes, but I don't... If I'm the Knicks, I probably feel good enough not to blow it up next season. You bring everybody back. The Celtics won't be there, or you assume that they won't be there. You feel okay about your chances against the Cavs, maybe? I don't know. It's hard to say what you should feel if you're a Knicks fan, because while they did go 0-10 against like all the good teams in the regular season, they beat the Celtics in this conference semifinals. So like they did show up when it mattered. They didn't get a chance to play Cleveland.
Hang the banner.
There probably are some tweaks coming. Maybe they bring in Giannis. Maybe they go get Giannis.
Yeah, and maybe that's next, right? It is funny that it does appear that they may have shot their wad a season too early by blowing all of their trade assets for Mikal Bridges instead of Giannis Antetokounmpo a year later, because I know Bill Simmons floated the potential of doing a Cat Bridges type trade. I think that the Celtics can outbid a New York Knicks for Giannis, and we're going to get there in a second here, but I think that a silver lining for the Celtics losing to the Knicks, or the Knicks beating the Celtics, is that Knicks fans and Knicks organization probably, and the Knicks getting their pride win in Game 5, which does a lot to make you feel a little bit better, as we know as well. Does that buy this team one? Because fair enough, it is the first year with this group together, and sometimes it does take time to gel. Like they're all young. And so can you talk yourself into improved chemistry? Can you say Tom Thibodeau saw the light, had an epiphany in the middle of the Eastern Conference Finals and realized you're actually allowed to play guys deeper into your bench? I don't know what universe we're living in, but Landry Shamet played in the conference finals and it was actually good for the team that was playing
before
him.
Embiid.
Yeah, before Embiid. Well before Embiid. Sixers legend as well, not to forget. And so I do think they can talk themselves into bringing everyone back, because I do think that, and firing Tibbs, I can see an argument for it. I can see an argument against it. It's a roster problem and a ceiling capper. But I don't know, Spoonie, you think they run it back here?
Oh, yeah. I think they're just about guaranteed to run it back. I think the issue, it's really hard mechanically to trade Cat, because you got to find a team who wants him. He makes a ton of money, and you really don't have any assets to include to make him to improve on him, if that makes sense. So Milwaukee's in a really, really unique situation, I think, throughout the league, in that they're basically at a crossroads. But I don't really think there's any other stars that will shake loose where a team would be like, yes, we'll take Cat. That's sort of the next era of this franchise, is building around Karl Anthony Towns. I frankly don't see why Milwaukee would do that either. He's not young anymore. It's not like you're selling your franchise out hey, he's 22, he's going to get way. Yeah. So, which is crazy and makes me feel very old. So I think they'll keep it together. I actually thought Tibbs was pretty good in the playoffs. So I would keep him around too. And I think part of the reason they'll keep it together is I'm not really sure they have another option.
Yeah. Go ahead, Sam.
They definitely don't feel like they do. The Bucks thing feels dead. You mentioned the draft picks. The Bucks need them. They have no draft picks. If they're going to get rid of Giannis, they need to have some sort of future investment involved, and Cat is not that. He's not. As cool as all of his celebrations are, they do not win you games. They actually, in fact, lose you games. I would not want him. Brunson probably doesn't do it for you. There's not a package I think they could really give that would move the needle.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. They own their own 2026 first rounder. They own a 2028 swap with Brooklyn and a 2030 first rounder as well. So 2.5 first rounders. It's not nothing.
They can't trade him though.
Oh, true, because of the
Stepien rule. Yeah, so
of course.
Yeah, they could trade a swap in that 2026 one, but that's it.
Okay, so this is a transition. It's because like Cat, they're allowed to trade, right? I think like if you look at player rankings, I'm not sure, is Cat ahead of Jaylen Brown? He's going to be ahead of him in like All-Star and All-NBA this season. Whatever you have him ranked versus Jaylen is almost irrelevant here. The point is, when you're talking about team building, and that's why the Celtics have always had good teams, is that it's team building cheat code when you have Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, or you have two big, versatile wings that can handle the ball, give you 30, guard multiple positions, play make, do everything essentially. And so like building around, it's like Jaylen Brown's Supermax contract is like, a bit hairy, I think is fair. And Towns is dealing with a similar thing, right? But it's like if you trade for Towns, like you need to nail the rest of the team. And the only time he's ever looked good defensively is when he was surrounded by Rudy Gobert, the best rim protector of our generation, and Jaden McDaniels and Anthony Edwards and Nickeil Alexander-Walker and all these like just an elite defensive personnel around Towns. And you see how it's difficult to work around him. Whereas Jaylen Brown, it's like scoring wing that can guard multiple positions and do everything. Like you can just put talent on the team and Jaylen Brown can make it work. And so when we're thinking about Giannis, we'll transition here. Brian Windhorst has mentioned the Boston Celtics and Giannis Antetokounmpo being potential suitors for each other twice now. And got the Windhorst fingers out. He knows stuff. And I have no doubt that the Boston Celtics would like to have Giannis Antetokounmpo on their team. We've got reports of Giannis wanting to go to the East potentially, like if he does leave. Which I understand, because why would you fucking want to go to the West, bro?
Yeah.
Giannis and Peyton Pritchard are like a second round guarantee at this point, considering how bad the East has gotten. So I don't even know where to begin with this Giannis stuff. But like, essentially,
I have a prompt.
Go ahead.
I have a prompt. Would you trade Jaylen Brown for him, Sam?
Yes.
You said straight up? I'm sorry, I had a signature lag.
Or yeah, I mean, effectively, maybe it's a pick or two or whatever it is. But like, because I think that's sort of the question is, right? Okay, if you're like trying to trade for Giannis, what does your team look like when you get him back? Because it's going to fundamentally change. Is the idea like it's the Jays and Giannis, or is it Tatum, Giannis, Derek White, and whatever else?
So, in a vacuum, yes. Like 2K, no real life, nothing. Yes, absolutely. Even like if it's my job, probably yes. But it's not my job, so I'm allowed to have feelings. I don't think it would be very fair to Jaylen to do it, but you're also getting like a guaranteed first team All NBA guy. Like Giannis is one of the best players of this generation. You'd be getting him, and if you're just giving up Jaylen, not gutting the rest of your roster, so he would be able to come here next year and have a good supporting cast with him. They would be able to compete. Tatum would eventually come back. They would get even better. And the Celtics would be set up for years of success. The question is, how much of your draft capital are you willing to give up? The answer probably should be all of it. But Jake knows, he's been targeting me enough. I'm like, man, like really going to have good draft picks in this new CBA world where they strap you down to like an operation table. That's how little you can move once you're overspending. And Giannis would be a supermax. Tatum would be a supermax. It would be flirting with the second apron every single year going forward. It would be very difficult. And I don't know if they would be able to sustain the success. So it's a loaded question, but tunnel vision, yes. Yeah, you have to. I mean, it's Giannis.
So step one is you have to be able to dump Kristaps Porzingis and get under the second apron essentially. Like you need to, and like it's a full. The Brooklyn Nets are like, we actually want Kristaps Porzingis and we'll take him off your hands and you've just cleared $30 million and now you're $5 to $10 million under the second apron. So now you're allowed to aggregate salaries because Jaylen Brown for Giannis doesn't work straight up because Giannis makes like 100K or 200K too much for it to be a direct swap. So you need to get under the apron in order to do a Jaylen Brown for, dare I say it, Jordan Walsh to make the money work. But I think a lot of this is going to depend on obviously that. Let's just say that happens, and now we're in the bidding war for Giannis Antetokounmpo. It's going to depend on Giannis's list. Are the Celtics on the list? And two, how much are the Bucks kowtowing to that list and Giannis's demands? Because I don't think that there's a package that the Celtics can put together that outbids a Houston Rockets, where they have all these draft picks and all these young guys with Jabari Smith and Cam Whitmore and Reed Shepherd and like all these guys. Like that's the type of package you want if you're the Rockets, right? You want like a true rebuild package. Now, I wonder though, is there a Drew Holiday plus Derek White 3-team trade where Derek White I actually think brings back like more kind of like quote unquote trade value because of his contract? I think that there'd be a lot of contenders like. If the Warriors get Derek White somehow, I think that they're the second best team in the West. I think if Denver were to somehow to get Derek White, there's a bunch of teams in that Western Conference that if they were to get Derek White, that they would become, a contender. Or does Portland or New Orleans want to get into the Derek White business? And like, are the Celtics the best way to facilitate a Bucks team getting back their picks that the Pelicans and Blazers currently own?
Yeah, that's really interesting with getting their own picks back because that's the move because then you can control where those picks are by tanking your ass off. The one team I've been looking at really closely is for a 3-teamer is the Spurs because I think they're ready to take the next step. They have the second pick in the draft and they have Steph Castle. And I think if you're Milwaukee and you come away with that from a Giannis trade, you're probably feeling pretty damn good. And probably another pick or two. So like we could send Derek White back to them, additional salary. They send Castle. They got a bunch of like shit salary, like Harrison Barnes and Keldon Johnson. They can send to Milwaukee. And then the second pick and Steph Castle goes to Milwaukee. And like we add more stuff to the Spurs. Like, I don't know if the Spurs would be willing to do it. It makes more sense to me if it's Jaylen Brown going to the Spurs, then that stuff goes to the Milwaukee and then we get Giannis. Yeah, man, like trading Derek to me, it's like, man, he'd be perfect around Giannis and Tatum. So I like hate to do it, but you're totally right. Like there's going to be there might be more teams interested in Derek White than Jaylen Brown because he's cheaper and he's like fits on any team. It does not matter.
Yeah, I think Derek White would have a fit. That his market would be so much hotter than Jaylen Brown's purely just from like the ability to actually do the trade on top of the fit that you said, Spoonie.
I mean, the contracts are so important.
Yeah.
He's making what, like 20-something million to be Derek White, to be an all-defensive guy, to be a knockdown three-point shooter, to be a secondary creator. He does so many great things, and he's probably underpaid, and he allows you to be competitive without having to overspend. And he's a flexible type of player to allow you to have other Supermax guys.
Yeah. Derek White, I think, makes like 20. Let's have a look here. He's going to be Derek White next season makes 18% of the cap, and Jaylen Brown is making 34.4% of the cap. Like, nearly double your cap hit. So I think we're in agreement. We'd probably have to do like saying we can do a Jaylen for Giannis straight swap. It's a Tatum, Giannis, Derek White, big three. If you're able to do a Drew plus Derek 3-team trade, a Jays plus Tatum, big three, obviously you're setting that shit up and you're sending out everything you can. I don't care who's on the team after that. It's Jaylen,
we
Jason.
Could be on.
It's Jaylen, Jason, Giannis, Peyton Pritchard, and Sam Hauser are your closing five. The question is, would you do a Jaylen Brown and Derek White? You end up keeping Drew Holiday. And so it's a Jason, Giannis, Drew Holiday, Pritchard kind of group, and then you build out the margins from there. You lose Jaylen and Derek to bring in Giannis.
Oh man, I don't know, Sam. What do you think? I don't know, man. That's tough. I'm throwing it to you.
It's really hard to just think about gutting the supporting cast because you need that. Like, as good as Giannis is, he'll get you the playoffs. Like, everybody saw Milwaukee this year. And then we all saw how well Milwaukee performed in the first round. They were a disaster. They let games just get away from them. Giannis could go out there and have 40 and 15 and 10 assists or whatever, and then they would lose. And you'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. Like, those guys sucked. And you cannot... I don't know, man. It doesn't feel like you would be making the most of getting a guy of Giannis's caliber if you didn't have good supporting players around him. Now, the argument to counter that would be, well, Tatum's going to come back, so you're going to have that. Mm-hmm. And then you have enough time to have everybody know that you have Tatum and Giannis. So maybe you'll get vet minimum guys. Maybe you'll get lucky and draft well, and the guys you pick will pan out and be good supporting cast players on good contracts. I hate the idea of losing everybody, though, because it just feels pretty counterproductive, and then you're unable to make a lot of other moves with the big bulk contracts looking right in your face.
Yeah, I think go ahead, Speedy.
Yeah, this is not going to be a particularly profound answer, so you probably should have just gone. But yeah, man, like, so it feels like you're really accelerating the expiration date of how good that team is going to be when, like, Drew Holiday is kind of the key third piece, which makes me feel like maybe I wouldn't do it, because, like, if he just falls off a cliff, then it's like, oh, now Peyton Pritchard's our third best player. That feels like not ideal. But also, like, for a year or two, that team would be probably the favorites, at least the favorites in the East. So it's a really difficult question, man. I guess it's like, do you want to raise your short-term probability of a championship pretty considerably, but lower your long-term probability? And I think I would probably take the long-term bet there with Derek and Jalen, but it's tough, man. That's close.
The answer is I would talk myself into either option.
Yeah, whatever happens.
And honestly, great problems to have. We get to go forward with a Jalen, Jason, Derek White trio, and we build out the depth from there. If we end up with a Tatum-Giannis duo, and honestly, though, Sam used the counter is, in another 6 weeks from now, we know that Tatum's recovery is going really well. And it's like, dude, he's like Wolverine healing at this point. He's going to be back by February or March. Peyton Pritchard, you said, is him being your third best player actually a bad thing? Is it actually Peyton Pritchard's all of a sudden turning into a guy that can be a really good third option? Andrew Holiday slots back into being a good fourth option. And Luke Cornett comes back. Al Horford comes back for another year on a veterans minimum. You get Cornett at a reasonable deal. And then you do get to be the team that gets the first pick of these free agents. Do you get Nickeil Alexander-Walker on the disabled player exception all of a sudden? And you get the next Gary Trent Jr. on the veterans minimum. Like, I do think that, oh man, Tatum and Giannis together. And maybe talk about the fit now. Do you have any fit? Would you have any fit concerns? Like, I see some people in the chat, Mazzulla Ball, is he fit? This is a broader thing that I'm come to terms with. I've talked a little bit about. I think that Mazzulla learning to play offense in a different way, I think, is going to need to happen. I think leaning into more 3-point variance in a season where they didn't need to be the more variance-heavy team, I think they need to figure out a way to be a little less variance heavy if they're going to be the more talented team. And so there should be no fit concerns with Tatum and Giannis. Tatum can play off the ball. Defensively, they can just guard every position. Like, it would be so good.
Also, not for nothing, like, Giannis is a great Mazzulla Ball guy. You can have him have gravity where everyone has to defend him. And
spray out.
Everybody here, we all have watched Mazzulla Ball. You don't have to be a sharpshooter. You can be Luke Cornett and be effective in Mazzulla Ball. It's still possible. Luke Cornett's excellent at that. Giannis can play in the short roll if necessary. He can play in the dunker spot if necessary. Why is that even a question? These guys are so talented. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, is Giannis just a rich man's Luke Cornett?
Yes. Former teammates.
Whoa, the MVP version of Luke Cornett, and we've already seen what Tatum can do with Luke Cornett. You've done it.
Yeah, man. Like, that wouldn't matter. One, at some point, like even if the fit's bad, the talent's just going to be so overwhelming, it's going to work anyway. But like, yeah, Tatum, Giannis pick and rolls. The one issue is like Giannis doesn't love to set a bunch of screens and roll to the rim. But look, Tatum's so good and so versatile that like he could be the one setting the screen and pick and pop and create about 7 different problems for defenses every time he does it. And yeah, Jake, you hit it. The defense would be insane. Like you could build such a ridiculous defense around those two guys that I would love to see it. So no fit concerns absolutely at all. And I would be the biggest defender of getting rid of the charge the second Giannis joined our team.
Yes. Fuck the charge for now until we know where Giannis is going to play if it's not here. What I will say is having Giannis on the Celtics might actually be hell. Because think about how much pressure we all had last year as fans. Being like, man, if they don't win, this is gonna suck. Like there's so like when you're supposed to win the championship, it's actually not that fun.
So you'd rather lose to the Knicks in the second round again?
No. I mean, I think this was like a caveat year because they just won the championship, so the pressure was kind of gone. Like I didn't feel like I thought they should be the Knicks. I was nervous that they wouldn't be the Knicks because I hate the Knicks so much. But like my pain does not really stem from, oh man, they didn't win back-to-back championships. But if they did not win last year, yes, the pain would be max pain.
Yeah. Look, how realistic is this? I don't know. But the fact that Windhorst has talked about it twice now is enough where we're going to have to be monitoring it going forward. Next kind of more maybe realistic thing here is the Mark Stein reported that the Detroit Pistons are expected to show actually right after this, we're going to get back to the Detroit Pistons and potentially how the Celtics can get in on a trade with the Pistons. But right after this, Prize Picks time, here we go. NBA Finals are here. Our Indiana Pacers versus the Oklahoma City Thunder. My strategy of going with more on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander points and Anthony Edwards points has been working great because I've been winning the Shai bets and I've been losing the Ant bets, which means I get to get my anti-Anthony Edwards propaganda off. I would highly recommend following me on that one. The Cat Bronson more on points was pretty rock solid for most of the conference finals. But yeah, Thunder, Shai, more on points is going to be where I'm going to be leaning in to start the series. But download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. Back to the report from Mark Stein here. The Pistons are expected to show interest in a stretch big such as Miles Turner or Naz Reid. So the problem with that for the Pistons is I don't think that the Pacers or Wolves are going to be getting rid of Miles Turner or Naz Reid. There's going to be, for the Wolves, it's like they're going to have to choose between Randall, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, and Naz Reid. Naz Reid is like literally a cult hero in Minnesota. I'd be pretty surprised if he's the one that goes. And then Randall, the Wolves don't really have full control over what happens in that situation because Randall has a $30 million player option. And so Nickeil feels like the guy that's expendable, especially when they have like Terrence Shannon potentially as going to be like the wing replacement waiting in the wings. And other Pacers really not going to re-sign Miles Turner after he helped them make the NBA Finals. I find that hard to believe. Enter a Latvian guy, Kristaps Porzingis, who in a vacuum is actually significantly better than both Miles Turner and Naz Reid if he is able to breathe, Spoonie.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, man, I don't see how the Pacers would let Miles Turner go. I mean, they have his bird rights. They can offer him anything they want. I believe same with Naz Reid for the Timberwolves as well. So I really don't believe either of those guys are going anywhere. And how much like cap space can the Pistons rather even generate? I mean, I know they can make a little bit, but I don't think it's enough to make a significant offer. Maybe they're thinking sign and trade or something like that. But yeah, dude, like KP makes a lot of sense for them. Like Cade is begging for a stretch big. Like he would be so dangerous with a guy with Kristaps trigger. So it makes a lot of sense. I don't know. I mean, I think there's a lot of permutations of a trade with the Pistons that makes sense for us. Like, do we try and steal Jaden Ivey or something like that? Or do we just like go with Tobias Harris and like, hey, it's wing depth on an expiring, could do worse and saves us some bucks, or stew beef. Or beef stew, rather.
Every time, stew beef, baby. I love it.
So there's a lot there. Like, if they're interested, like, I would have a lot of fun cooking up Pistons trades.
Sam, this is your Detroit Pistons we're talking about here.
I'd love to see Porzingis on our Pistons. I think it would make them a fun gap year root for them team. I think Kristaps, as you said, in a vacuum, very, very fun player, very, very effective player. Honestly, if the Celtics didn't even have this financial conundrum to figure out, I wouldn't even be like, trade him. I'd be like, just let him come back and maybe he won't be sick again. What would you want back? Beasley, Hardaway Jr. both unrestricted free agents. Oh, you have options, even better.
I got a couple here. Look, we'll see how people feel about this because I'm not sure of the value of Kristaps Porzingis. This is not. So these are three teamers with the Wizards that have been cooked up here.
Hell
so
yes.
Celtics acquire Marcus Smart. The Detroit Pistons acquire Kristaps Porzingis, and the Wizards acquire Tobias Harris, saving the Celtics $9.1 million. The other one we have here is that's the same trade, Jake. Damn it. Discuss while I find where the
hard to top that one.
The other
tell you
trade
that.
is.
No, I would cry, fall to my knees. Spoonie and I feel differently, clearly.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, it's fine. Saves us some money. I love Marcus. I don't want to taint his tenure here by watching the shell of himself play basketball. That's all.
I think
that's a good point, actually.
Yeah. But could he be, because like we've talked about two ends of the spectrum. We've talked about trading for Giannis and next year basically being like, you kind of need to win the title, otherwise it's a failed season, to this is like, you're struggling to move Kristaps Porzingis, Giannis goes to the Rockets, and like we're just like trying to find ways to move things around. Another version of the trade, the Celtics acquire my guy, Simone Fontecchio, Rashawn Holmes. Pistons acquire Kristaps Porzingis, Sadiq Bey, and the Wizards acquire Tobias Harris. Hoping the Celtics maybe get some kind of pick here because the Celtics are getting much worse with that trade and only saving $9 million. But yeah, maybe we're able to get back a beef stew in this instead of Rashawn Holmes and Fontecchio. But I think that there's something there. It's just hard for me to wrap my head around where Kristaps Porzingis' trade value is currently. Especially, I don't know, do you think that his trade value has gone up or down since uploading a photo or a photo leaking of him not smoking hookah, but sitting next to someone smoking hookah? Spoonie, your thoughts?
It's not a great look from a guy who couldn't breathe. To be like, hey, look, I know you're like not smoking hookah. I've never sat next to a hookah and not smoked it, but that's just me. Yeah, it's not a great look from a dude who couldn't play basketball because of his lungs to be around something that generates smoke nonstop. So, yeah, man, I have no idea what his trade value is. I could see some teams valuing him as a big expiring, but a team like the Pistons, like they're clearly going to want him long term. So no clue. I think a lot of it will depend on like feeling out what he wants for his next contract. Because if he's like, I want 2 for $40, like I actually think he would have some serious value on a smaller deal like that. I think they like beef stew a lot, though. I don't think he's going anywhere. Like the defensive numbers with him, like are drastic for the Pistons. They were way better defensively with him on the court, which is a shame because I would love that.
Do either of you know if, like, for example, the Pistons traded for Kristaps Porzingis, that they could extend him immediately, similar to what we did? Like, because he's only got 1 year left, but I know that like there was a player option with the Porzingis thing, and that's how they were able to like do some kind of extension, like the 2-year kind of thing. Do you guys know if like they can extend him? It's like you pay him that $30 million, and they do the 2 for $40 on top.
It happened with Aaron Gordon, right? Or did they have to wait to the offseason when he was actually expired? I can't remember.
Yeah,
Because
I
they
don't-
traded Aaron Gordon, and that was mid-season too. But I thought it was like a 60-day wait or something like that. But I'm pulling that out of the air, frankly.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm looking to see if Spot Track can tell me that answer.
I
don't know, though.
Because that's very important to your point, Spoonie, is that if the team trading for Kristaps Porzingis can negotiate, hey, and like the Pistons, that would be a great spot for Porzingis. Go ahead, Sam.
Porzingis extension eligible as of July 12th.
Okay, that's big. I think if we can get like a live stream of him doing a hard workout or something, and
Looking
playing
good in
really
FIBA.
Well,
That's all we need.
so the Eurobasket doesn't start till August
Shit.
like 20th, which
Damn
which is like two pronged. Like if he was on the Celtics and we're trying to win next year, we'd be like, no fucking way is he playing in a tournament in the 28th of August before the season starts. But it's also too late really to like really help his trade value because it's so late in the off season. Tarmac, the Knicks will be back in 2050. I like that. Good to see. But yeah, so if someone is able to talk themselves into actually like having that asset, that actually does explain why he would be a higher value because you can get him on. Can you get him at 15? Like, or is he going to just bet on himself? I guess at that point, like if the number gets low enough. But yeah, Sam, I think that would be a big factor. We just need like one live stream of a workout and we're back in business.
Yeah, like the Ben Simmons style, like shooting in the gym, shirt off, just looking sweaty. Yeah, I could talk myself into that. I truly think teams can talk themselves into Porzingis. Like it is a low risk, high reward
We
type
did it.
deal if you have the room. Like if you can afford to pay him this season, there is no good reason that you should not try. Like if you're like a team, the Pistons are a bad example because I think it's going to take more than Porzingis for them to be like a real championship contender. But let's like just say you could randomly throw him on the Rockets, right? Like
Yeah.
the Rockets felt pretty good about their season this year. Maybe they could use a more consistent shooting type big man that gives you a different look than what they have in Şengün and also Steven Adams. Maybe you do it. He's a little bit of a ceiling raiser, I think. And you probably don't have to give up that much, right? The Celtics' goal in this is to get off the money, to avoid the second apron. Cap relief is a big, valuable thing for Lucky right now, right? Like, you're just sitting here thinking about, like, man, my wallet sucks. There's no money in it. I would love there to be money in it. So
That's something I'm always
you can
asking
talk yourself
myself.
into it. It's possible.
Yeah, I mean, look, Lakers desperately could use healthy Porzingis. The Warriors are pairing Kristaps Porzingis next to Draymond Green. Like, you can definitely see a bunch of teams that would be a lot better. Whether you go from like, man, dude, if the Pistons got a healthy Porzingis, they could easily be in the conference finals or the finals. If you get another step forward from Cade, Jaden Ivey actually has a healthy season. I don't think it's crazy to think if they don't. Yeah, Thompson he's still so young and like like all of a sudden that's a nasty little group if assuming obviously Kristaps Porzingis is healthy. So I think you're right, Sam. And if a team is able to talk themselves into it and they're able to get a wink,
Hell, even Golden
Porzingis.
State. Like we've heard like the rumblings like, oh, the Warriors are interested. Like Golden State is in a situation where they need to be like, we need to act now. Like we have Steph, we have Jimmy. They're not getting any younger. Got to go all in. Got to push the chips in. If they can find a way to get Kristaps, they might even be desperate enough to give you like decent value, at least something we can all sit here and be like, oh, well, what about this? Whether it's a draft pick or like, I don't know, Pods or Moses Moody. I don't think they want to give up either of them, but like there are teams out there that feel like they are one guy away from being at that top level.
Yeah, give us Buddy Hield for Porzingis. We'll take it. And a
That's
draft
where we're
pick.
at now.
I just feel like there's such a wide range. Like if you tell me Brad Stevens gets like legit value for Kristaps Porzingis, I'm not going to be surprised. If you tell me we have to attach a second round pick to dump him into the Nets cap space or wherever, go ahead, Sam.
I just think like there are different levels of teams. Like Terrence saying Pistons catching strays. Like I'd never disrespect the Pistons like that. I just think they have their own process. Like they're waiting for their 2K progression to come in and their guys to get better. Like Jaden Ivey's coming off a broken leg and he was very good before he hurt it this year. And they still were they should have beat the Knicks. Everyone should have beat the Knicks.
Yeah,
The Knicks
everybody
actually should have been 0-3 in all their playoff series. The Pistons were in all of those games. They were about to win game one. They give up that 21-0 run. Like, they're feeling pretty good right now. I think they're like going to trust their process. Like, there's no desperation there. Is more of what I meant.
I think that's a great call. If you're the Pistons, you're sitting there being like, we should have beat them. We could have been in the conference finals. We add Kristaps Porzingis to progressing Cade, Asar, all these guys. Why can't we be the team that sneaks into the NBA finals next year while Jason Tatum recovers from a ruptured Achilles?
Yeah, man. I think that they might. I don't know if I totally agree with it, but yeah, no, you can absolutely make that argument. It's not like the East is loaded, you know.
Raptors
like all you need is the
talk
right
themselves
matchup.
into all kinds of shit, Sam.
Yeah,
so I
and
think
they do.
that's fair. Go ahead, Spoony.
I was just gonna say, like, yeah, I think the issue is, are these teams gonna be like, wow, a piece like Kristaps Porzingis could get us in that conversation? He's missed the last two playoffs, so like he's not going to be the piece that gets us in that conversation because nobody can trust him. But again, like it could be worthwhile to somebody. So I just like, this is probably the first time of any like guy that we might trade where I have literally zero conception of what his trade value is going to be. Like, I can't even really venture a guess on how he's going to be valued.
Yeah, which is almost good in a way, because like that means that someone hopefully is just on the like, well, as long as we don't have to give up too much, it's a worthwhile flyer, which was like basically what the Celtics did. They got like acquiring him was very, cheap, I guess. Sorry, Marcus. Considering we also got the 2 first-round picks back, but I think that'll do it for us today. Like we'll be back. We got 5 days off with no basketball, so we'll be back in a few days talking more trades, more everything, maybe a season in review, what we want to see development wise, maybe from some guys. But Spoony, it's been a pleasure. Sam LaFrance, it's been a pleasure doing the Hate Watchers with you all series long. Successful. I mean, great work from both of us.
Successful. Rip Bozos, rest in piss, no championship parade out there on 7th Avenue. The Larry-less remain a sad bunch.
Make sure you check out How About Them Celtics are putting out great stuff all the time. Spoony, it's been a pleasure to see you as per usual. Ben Vallis in the chat, providing some good laughs. Our fearless leader will be on sometime later this week. Until next time, go Pacers.